the Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. We have 3 different topics to get to before we depart by 10 o'clock at the latest for the Housing Authority Board of Directors, followed by the regular business meeting. Vice Chair Willie, I need to step out for a personal meeting at noon, so be forewarned that no matter what happens, I'll be stepping out at noon wherever we are.
Great.
This is Chair Catherine Harrington. I'm joined by Vice Chair Jerry Willie, Commissioner Pam Trees, Commissioner Nafisa Faye, and Commissioner Jason Snyder. The first item on the agenda is formal agenda items discussion. The first thing we have is Clerk Hodges let us know that we have a number of signups. As you know, our first public comment period is for 2 minutes an individual, 10 minutes total. And we have 6 to 7 people who've signed up. I somehow misplaced that sheet. Oh, no, I didn't. I put it behind this one. We have 6 people signed up, 5 for the rule of law resolution and order. 7. 1 TBD, that would be Mr. Feek, and 1 on SB 1586. Thus far, we have 1 person signed up for the second public comment period, 5 minutes a person. That's Melissa Laird on a budget letter from PSCC. So, Board of Commissioners, what would you like to do? Given that you have 7 people signed up, 2 minutes a person, that's a minimum of 14 minutes, plus or minus, or usually plus, with changing over teams of 2. What would you like to do?
If it's possible, I'd like to just have the 7 people testify for 2 minutes and then remove 1 or 2 of the 5-minute slots at the end of the meeting.
Or you could have the 5 on the rule of law, stick to the 10, and then push the other topics, the TBD and the Senate Bill 1586 to the 5 minutes.
That's fine too.
So at least 2 alternatives.
I think the only concern I would have is like just doing a bit of a perspective taking. If I were one of those community members and took took time off from work and planning on coming here early on, so I would say we allow the 7 people, just extend that 4 minutes, and then keep the 5 minute structure.
I don't care either way. It's a board decision, so people weigh in.
I'm fine with the 7 at the front and with the reduction at the end.
Yep.
Okay.
Me too. Yep.
So we'll do the 7 up front, and then anybody else will need to do at the end. And Clerk Hodges, you'll need to manage the time and reduce the time at the end. The next topic is the rule of law resolution. We all have that right from the packet. We did have an opportunity last week to go over the rule of law proposed resolution. We added sending it to the Attorney General. And we discussed the 3 different amendments from Commissioner Faye. And at that time, amendments 1 and 3, board, please remind me if I summarize this incorrectly. We found that amendments 1 and 3 were not consistent with this proposed resolution and order. We had discussion on number 2.
Yes, correct.
Where did that one end up? That's the one I couldn't remember.
Well, I guess I think we should ask County Council. I know I'd had a conversation with him about it. Did that get worked in the revision? I didn't see a red line, so I wasn't certain.
So Commissioner and Commissioner Faye sent
based on your board's comments at the work session last week, I sent a proposal to Commissioner 5 last week with some potential edits to number 2 to make it within the context of the current RNO as it was drafted by your subcommittee. I received a version this morning from Commissioner 5. Commissioner, I don't know if you want me to read that out to the group or if you want to do it.
I'm going to read what you recommended first.
Uh-huh.
And first I want.
Send it as well, so we have the opportunity to see it in writing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Chair. Alex, do you mind, while I'm speaking, if you could forward your amendment?
Yes, I will.
Mine to the board. Thank you. I want to say thank you for allowing Mr. Harrington and everyone, the board, to discuss the amendments I submitted while I was out. And I did watch as recommended the video, and it was a good discussion. The proposed amendment in terms of amendment number 2, the discussions from the board, the county council took it back and workshopped it. And the amendments he made, and you'll have it soon, is that in appearing to the board, that the board, comma, as the executive body of Washington County, comma, has a responsibility to model adherence to the constitutions of the United States and the state of Oregon, comma, to ensure the county's practices adhere to both, comma, and to, in appropriate circumstances, use its institutional voice to oppose unconstitutional actions that affect county residents. And so that's the amendment from county council.
And
Is there a
where would,
specific spot where that
Yeah.
would go?
So commissioners, I recommended to Commissioner Fye, bear with me as I sort through the email here. That would, to me, appear appropriate to go after the first 2 full paragraphs on page 2 of the current RNO. So directly after the paragraph, which reads, it appearing to the board, et cetera.
well, they all start with it appearing to the board on that page.
I have not finished.
Okay.
It appearing to the board, et cetera, and ending with along with longstanding federal and state laws protecting individual rights for fair and equal treatment.
Okay.
Inserted after that line.
Could somebody put
Line
that
8.
Line.
This one, not lining up with what's in the packet. Is it this one?
It would be.
It's page 2. He
Yeah.
said page 2.
So right,
Between lines 7
right out.
and 8 on page 2.
Thank you. If you go to the business packet, it's in the packet.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Page 84 of 92.
It's the first 2 paragraphs on page 2.
I still
Okay.
need to
We'll
read
take-
this thing.
Okay, we'll take time.
I'm a little uncomfortable about this, given that it's got this phrase, use its institutional voice to oppose unconstitutional actions. Deemed by a court of law. I'm trying to be very clear that we are not the governing body to decide what is unconstitutional.
What I see it trying to do is say that we're going to give voice to situations with community members where it pretty on the face of it appears to be unconstitutional. But I understand the concern. I still would favor probably including it, but I understand the concern.
If it says to oppose unconstitutional actions as deemed by a court of law, I mean, I'm not even a lawyer. And I don't want the casual responsibility of, as an elected chair, deciding what's unconstitutional or not. If you want to point out if there was a whereas earlier than that, that defines that actions that are deemed constitutional or unconstitutional are determined by a court of law, that would be fine by me.
I mean, even our oath of office says that we're going to follow. I mean, yes, there's a legal standard around this and the review in a court, but I still think we have an obligation, like that there's sort of common, in my mind, we all can use some common sense and judgment around, what is and isn't constitutional. We have to do that in our roles as county commissioners all the time. And so I don't think this goes too far on that front. I guess I would ask the county council, are you concerned about our judgment of something that would need to be ruled by a court?
Before I answer that question,
Okay.
a preliminary, I sent your board Commissioner Fai's email from this morning, and attached to that email is a Word document.
That's what I'm looking at.
Good. I want to make sure that that's what we're talking about, that we're talking about the original proposal amendment to my recommendation to Commissioner Fai. So in that current recommendation, that clause reads, it reads, yeah,
Okay.
and to hyphen, in appropriate circumstances, hyphen, use its institutional voice to oppose unconstitutional actions. So inappropriate circumstances being the operative phrase there. I think that gets to your concern, Chair, about, your board would have to make a determination whether it's appropriate.
So I'm a little confused. I was at first reading the track changes version with track changes marks off, so I didn't have to see that. Now I see there's a clean version that has 2 paragraphs. So are you recommending the 2 paragraphs or the 1 paragraph?
Sorry, this was because this was not planned before 9 o'clock this morning. That second paragraph was what I received from Commissioner Fai this morning. It apparently auto-saved in the Word document that I was working from.
So
So
you're recommending just the 1 paragraph, right?
let's back up for just a second. On the Word version, if you're looking what I'm looking at, it says proposed amendment to parenthesis track changes. That's Commissioner Fai's original proposed amendment number 2 with my recommendations to her on how it can be edited to fit into the RNO. Below that, it says proposed amendment number 2 clean. That's without the track changes. If you see a 3rd paragraph in track changes, okay, good.
I see just 2.
Good. Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay, maybe I can.
Are we
jump in?
talking about inserting 2 paragraphs or just the 1?
One.
Just one, Chair Harrington, if I.
It's provided for your purposes to be able to review the original amendment with track changes and then to be able to see it in a clean version without track changes.
So you're still recommending the following. It appearing to the board that the board comma, as the executive body of Washington County, comma, has a responsibility to model adherence to the constitutions of the United States and state of Oregon, comma, to ensure the county's practices adhere to both, and to dash, in appropriate circumstances, dash, use its institutional voice to oppose unconstitutional actions that affect county residents, comma, and.
That was my feedback to Commissioner Fye
Thank you.
on her proposed amendment number 2 based on your board's conversation last week at the work session.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, and as you saw that my emails, I can live with the changes, but some of the things that I was looking into this is, I appreciate the legal defense that applied. I think, Alex, you did your job. But the second option, from when I heard your conversation and then saw Alex's proposal, this is my idea of coming here to say, could we tie this this is specific language to the oath of office that we each took, and sort of model it and be sort of a proactive leadership and moral responsibility to the residents of Washington County. So that was the option to say, which language could you live with? And because I really do like the part that says model constitutional compliance. I also like the review of its own, but I also see that the work that Alex did around building in legal defense. And one way that I could separate the two paragraphs, the one Alex, the clean version in the clean paragraph, is, responsibility to model versus legal safety. That to me, it read more of like purely procedural compliance. But again, as I said in my email, I appreciate your leadership, Alex, and I appreciate the board entertaining. I can live with the language you're proposing, but I wanted to see if the board is interested in tying it to the oath we took in office and sort of keep this idea of proactive leadership and moral responsibilities that we have to the community, and sort of lift that language. In the paragraph I'm proposing says, appearing to the board that, comma, consistent with the oath of office each commissioner has taken to support the Constitution of the United States and Oregon, Washington County, comma, within its lawful authority, has a responsibility to model constitutional compliance, comma, review its own practices, comma, and its institution and to use its institutional voice to oppose violations that affect county residents.
So in essence, I think what I'm hearing you say is that you want to include and emphasize the oath of office that we took with this.
Yeah, and modeling constitutional compliance.
I just want to make sure I understood what the nugget was here.
Can someone define for me what modeling constitutional compliance relative to my role as a county commissioner for a county government is? Because I think it invites all kinds of interpretation.
Yeah, I would support moving forward with the revision that the county council offered, and that's probably what I can support. I share similar concerns over, I understand the concept, but I think the language and the content is somewhat problematic in the version that Commissioner Fye just read.
And I'll just say, I remain concerned that folks will take that the ending part, and use its institutional voice to oppose unconstitutional actions that affect county residents. invites any effect of county residents versus those that we as a county government have a responsibility for. So I'm just reacting to this specific board has spoken multiple times about lack of bandwidth for itself as a board work group, as well as for staff to cope with the number of things that come down the pike for us. And we've tried to really focus on those things that relate to our county government role.
Do you think the inappropriate circumstances part that was added helps with that?
Inappropriate circumstances?
Yeah.
I still think it invites. That's all. I mean, not that,
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be a challenge. I think having the opportunity of sitting with this for the last 15 minutes since we were able to receive it, I better understand what the words actually say. So I'm not opposed to it like I was when I had to rely on just hearing it verbally. But it's one of those, be careful what you wish for. Excuse me for a moment.
Vice Chair?
I am not comfortable with not knowing what it is that we're passing. And being that, as it's been pointed out, we've seen it for 15 minutes. Is there an urgency to this?
Well, this is our driven process, so I think we determine the urgency. You're saying you would like more time?
I would like to see the final proposed resolution and order before I vote on this.
Like
I don't
where,
know what I don't know what I'm voting on right now in that vernacular, and I'm in agreement. I've said all along I oppose things that mandate what we do versus our own decision-making process, and I want to make sure that this rule of law does not mandate that if there are things going on that are, we believe, possibly to not be constitutional, that we would be required to take action.
I agree with that.
As we go through this discussion, is this the only amendment that would be included, first of all? Because I think if there's, I need to be clear about that because we've spent all this time on this one and I haven't heard anything more. So,
Well, I think we were closing the loop on this one first.
well, I'd like, but before we move forward, I want to know if there are other issues that we need to discuss as well.
I'm fine with the proposed resolution and order as published.
Okay, but I'm asking Commissioner Fye.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just trying to,
I appreciate
as
that.
one of five, I'm just trying to move the conversation along and provide my answer to your question.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner Trees. I do, so that's one amendment. The amendment number 1, where current language was problematic, I listened to the conversation and where it says, and amendment number 1 says, appearing to the board that the board has observed that federal immigration officers have been denying immigrants their Fourth Amendment rights through unauthorized searches and seizures and denying protesters their First Amendment rights to excessive use of force, and. So that proposal, I've listened to the conversation and really tuned in on the remarks Alex made. And I do have a proposed amendment that I would like the board to consider because I do see why some of the wording was problematic to this board. And I want you all, to keep an open mind. And this is really about the immigrant communities in Washington County. Immigration enforcement have been heavily impacted by that community, and it really it continues to have detrimental impacts. And so I like to keep some of that language, but shift it to where it says appearing to the board that the community has observed that federal immigration officers have been denying immigrants their Fourth Amendment rights through unauthorized. So shifted instead of saying the board has observed, because we've heard from the community in a critical number. I myself have observed, but I hear not everybody had that opportunity, or was not unfortunate to experience that, and I don't wish that on anybody. But this is something that has happened to our community, and there's nothing legally binding in that statement other than symbolically signal to the community that we are here for our communities, especially our immigrant communities in Washington County. The population, we always celebrate that we're the most diverse county in Oregon. And we need to reflect that we see the harm and the impact federal immigration have had our immigrant communities, and really signal that support and that recognition, because that statement doesn't say we will do or we won't do. We're just saying we recognize the community has observed this, and we've seen it, and this had lives. People have died being in detention. So, and these are people in Washington County, residents, people I come in contact. So I would like all of you to consider that version of that First Amendment.
Did you vet this language with the county council before now?
No.
Okay.
Because I've only got one amendment. And
I don't understand. I guess my question is, do you have more than one amendment? Number one.
so there's a county council's amendments that I think we all were in agreement on that language. I'm going back to the remember last week I submitted 3 amendments.
Right.
Amendment number 1 is the one I'm making recommendation to change the wording, not change anything else. Where it says the board, do you have that amendment in
Yes.
front of you?
I guess my question is, I'm trying to look at what the scope is that you're bringing to
Yeah.
us.
So 3 amendments last week. First amendment right now
Right.
to change one word where it says the board, the community. That's it. Board, community. That's all we're changing. Amendment number 1. Amendment number 2, where the county council took that and reworded. Proposed number 3, I listened to the.
Could
Okay,
I
I'll
ask you
yeah,
a question?
Yes.
I understand your proposed amendment number 1. It appearing that the community has observed that ... Some in the community have observed this, but I don't and never have treated the community as one monolith. So I would not agree to the amendment as you're proposing, just so you know.
And number 3?
Oh, number 3 is the same to consider as it is. And because I listened to the discussion and I didn't see any strong hesitations other than we haven't read the bill. So I thought I would bring it up and say, I don't see any deviation from what we've done in the past where I myself went to NACO and advocated for Washington County wants and needs. So this one will just be something that when we're in front of Senator Wyden and Merkley, we can say, hey, by the way, we support your bills. So I don't see any lift that we have to do in terms of other than the same it goes the same way of the attorney general. I don't see any legwork or anything that we have to do other than say we support this declaration.
If I could respond, I really appreciated the various points that were brought up during our conversation at work session last Tuesday, including the point that our resolution and orders aren't just for a point in time, but have longevity. And I think adding amendment number 3 really makes it just changes the resolution and order from something that can endure into the years ahead into a rule of law resolution and order just for
A point in time.
this point in time. And I think it diminishes it significantly.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think this is in response to a point in time in our history right now that is very challenging, and it's really hard to even discuss when you're very close to this issue. So I recommend that, while this, if we were all operating from a place of comfort, this sounds to me like, yeah, it's a point of time. Who cares? Let's leave it. But it's a very important period of our time, and it will actually tell the story of our own leadership and how and who we showed up for. So I would like to see it, and I think there are a lot of resolutions in order that become obsolete when they're not necessary. So I'm not attaching this to be the next 100 years of Washington County. This is a county that was founded in 1843. It's going to exist long after us, and there's going to be changes. Even as of next year, there could be potentially 3 people sitting here that could undo every work that we've done because they don't agree with the direction and they like to carve out a different path. So I think that is the nature of politics and the different, history and work experience and lived experience and values people bring to these roles. So I don't want to say it's inevitable, but one area that change is inevitable is in politics and policy changes. Look at what's happening at the federal level because of presidential change. There's a significant overhaul of constitution and historical, um, comfort that Americans have enjoyed for a long time.
I think we
So-
should consider US Senate Bill 3470 as part, like put it through our normal legislative review process and discuss it in that context. And I don't think it belongs in this Arno.
And I'll just add that I was hoping as one of 2 on the subcommittee to propose a rule of law resolution for board consideration, that it would at least provide guidance for the board through the remainder of the current Trump administration, which will continue on through 2028.
Sorry, Chair Harrington, if you don't mind repeating what you just said, I don't think I tracked it. I take full ownership of that. Can you repeat what you said?
As one of 2 on the subcommittee working on a draft resolution in order for board consideration, I was hoping that if we took such an action on a rule of law resolution in order, that it would at least endure for the remainder of the current Trump administration, which runs through the end of, runs until January, someday in January 2029.
Hmm.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yep.
Well, I feel like with that statement makes my points even stronger to include, especially the recognition of immigrant communities in the Fourth Amendment.
Hmm.
So if it's,
I don't feel compelled to continue to debate various ordinances to get, or various amendments together. I believe I explained my thoughts as one of 5 on amendment number 1. And then you were speaking to amendment number 3. I appreciate Commissioner Snyder's suggestion that the orientation of amendment number 3 with those 2 congressional bills follows our normal practice of our GR process for responding to legislative bills at the federal level as well as at the state level.
I'm comfortable with that suggestion too. Good foresight on your part, Commissioner Snyder, on that. Just want to make sure that it's a priority for the board and that is something that we're pushing forward. I think maybe I'll go back to you, Commissioner Willie. What would you like to see happen? Should we pull this from the agenda today and have the full edited with track changes showed for the board to consider, including my recommendation for amendment number 1? And Commissioner Trace, that goes to you too. But I wanted to go back what you said, that you don't know what you're voting for because there's a lot of moving parts here. And I know you want to do your due diligence, but
Yeah, I guess that's where I'm going. I would like to see the proposed revisions, track changes, before I make any decision to agree or not.
And are you wanting to include amendment 1? I'm concerned about that, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, I guess that's part of it too. Now I got to go back and find amendment 1 because I was listening to the dialogue.
Does have 1.
No, I would not. I would not support 1, and as we've talked about, 3 we're going to modify to our different our regular course of action for support of bills, and so that leaves 2. And we've talked about a couple of different varieties of verbiage that would be in 2, and I need to see the final proposed verbiage that's in before I think we should move on. And like I said, I don't see any urgency in this, so we could reconvene this conversation next week.
I want to pick both of your brains about what concerns you about number 1. Like, what is your interpretations about this is about the immigrant communities? Wouldn't you want to show up for the immigrant communities?
Absolutely, but I don't have to put it in a rule of law to do that.
Why not? This is the only, how else are you protecting? I don't see you in protest and everywhere. We need to be like in rooms to say we are for the immigrants community. I'm just trying to figure out what action would you feel comfortable? Like, how do we show up as a board for our community? And to both of you, by the way, that I'm not just directly, because you both said you're not comfortable.
I'll weigh in that I don't accept amendment 1 as worded. I weighed in on my comments, but as I understand it, you're still proposing it as is.
I'm dialoguing with 2 commissioners who said they have concerns.
Who are the 2 commissioners?
Commissioner Willie and Commissioner Snyder.
Okay.
And you proposed it with 1 edit, correct? Instead of the board observed, the community has observed.
Mhm.
That's your suggestion.
Yeah.
I think I will just say that I don't object to what's written or even conclude that it may very well not be true, or it might be true. I don't think it belongs in this resolution in order and what we're trying to accomplish in the sort of long-standing or hopefully evergreen nature of this resolution in order. I also think that this starts to get to a place where we are concluding things that a court would have to conclude.
Right,
I am
well.
definitely not a Fourth Amendment expert. I've had quite a bit of training in it in my time as a reserve police officer, but I'm still not at a point where I feel like I can make those conclusions with certainty. And there are oftentimes a lot of context that has to go with that. The other concern to me is that it appearing before the board that the community has observed. I have similar concerns about the use of the word or the concept of the community when some of the community, as I think the chair pointed out, probably believes they've observed this. Many members of the community have not observed it. And so, you know, that is concerning. And I don't think community observations in this context belong in the RNO. So that's the totality of my feedback on that. My feedback has nothing to do with not wanting to be there to support our immigrant and refugee community. And
Sounds to me what you're saying is you don't believe immigrants and their Fourth Amendment right have been violated.
that's not what I said at all.
And I really don't like the way this conversation is going because it's a challenge rather than a dialogue. I would like to recommend that we postpone this for another week. And Nafisa, you put together your proposed changes. We will see them in a red track. And then if you want to have a dialogue after that next week, that's perfectly fine with me, but it's not going to be a debate of what we believe or don't believe.
Can I point something out? We don't need track change versions. We need proposed amendments. And we do not have a board meeting next Tuesday, March 10th. Our next board meeting is Tuesday, March 17th, and it will be an evening meeting.
I also don't want to see content in the draft that
And
the
you will be
majority of
gone.
us haven't supported.
I think it's important
That's
to,
changing.
I'd just like to make a statement here. I think it's important that we consider the context of why we're here, that the rule of law was brought to us by the community in the beginning and had a series of proposals. We asked for a subcommittee to put together a rule of law for us to review. And then Mr. Fye came forward with amendments. So I'm just putting this into context so that we all
With a minor correction that my amendments are also rooted in the first proposal the community sent. And then
rooted is an interesting term. You know, they're not exactly what the community presented, but okay.
immigrant, Fourth
I'm-
Amendment,
I am-
protest, all that came from the.
Could she finish her statement?
I'm just clarifying.
So my point here is that our group, the group of two, brought forward this piece. We are discussing it, and I believe strongly that this needs to stay in the discussion, not only of what's best for the commission for the RNO, but also to ensure that we are not putting this into a context that pits one another against each other. And that's really very important to me, that we move forward and we don't make assumptions about values in this context. This is about an RNO that we're moving forward. You also made the comment, Commissioner Fye, earlier that there could be 3 new people who undo what we do here.
Mhm.
While that may be true, there also may not be. And I think it's really important to keep that in context as well. So I believe that I will support what Commissioner Willie is asking for in relationship to coming back with a full context here that we all have agreed to, so we know what we will be voting for. And I believe that that's the majority. Excuse me. Thank you, the majority. So with that said, I'd like to close the conversation. I encourage the chair to close the conversation and move us forward.
Commissioners, A recommendation has been made to close the conversation. We have time certain to start the Housing Authority Board of Directors at 10 a.m. We do not have the 30 minutes to take care of the next comment. So we have a proposal on the table to table the discussion for today. Take it up at some future date. I've made it clear that our next board meeting isn't until the 17th. The board's been very clear that it's asking for all the amendments that might be proposed at the business meeting to come to us at least 3 business days before the board meeting, and that we come back to considering a rule of law resolution as currently published on that date, March 17th. We've learned that the rolling agenda is now updated. Commissioner Willie will be in attendance on the 17th, so we will have a full complement of commissioners. Is everyone thumbs up with that proposal?
I just need to clarify my understanding of what we're gonna move and what I think the draft coming back would be something that was limited to changes, including Amendment 2 and the revisions that the county council put forward. I guess I'm concerned about just bringing back something that has a bunch of more content in it that we haven't looked at that would come as a final draft. I'm concerned about that.
The Roberts Rules of Order does allow for any amendments to come. We have asked that we as a work group have all amendments in writing 3 business days before consideration. We've
I can look at that.
had the opportunity of discussion here with Alex's language, county council's language for proposed amendment number 2. I think we're closed on what that language would be. And as far as my expectations, I still have an expectation that Commissioner Fye is going to be proposing Amendment 2 as closed on here with county council, Amendment 1 and potentially Amendment 3, despite our majority saying that that is appropriate for our government relations letter process.
No, I took that under advisement, so I won't be bringing that change, amendment to you.
How
Yeah.
many are you bringing?
2 amendments, right? Or
I don't know. That's what we're trying to get.
okay, to be determined, Chair, to be determined. You'll know 3 days in advance. You have my commitment to get that to you 3 days in advance. And then the amendment number 2, I think we're clear on the language.
So I'm good with this plan. I don't know that it gets Commissioner Willie his clean draft for the next meeting. That is what it is.
It's better than where we are right
Okay.
now, so we'll move ahead.
So as such, at the start of today's meeting, as presiding officer, I will let the public know that the agenda has changed and item G1 has been pulled, date certain March 17th. Okay. All right, so we'll pause the work session right now. It will reconvene. Did I put my work session agenda? The Washington County Board of Commissioners work session will reconvene no later than 3 p.m. This afternoon. I don't know if that means we'll pick up on agenda topic 3 and then go to 4. Ms. Angie, any advice? Will your staff be available at 3 o'clock for item number 3?
I will have to verify that since we weren't planning for this. So I will brief the board on what the afternoon schedule will be at the conclusion of our business meeting.
Thank you. Okay. We'll see you later at, no later than 3 p.m.